The big question now is this week the Reserve Bank has said it could start to taper its bond buying exercise. Do you think with the lockdowns, Sydney, Melbourne right now, that it will actually do that this week, announce that it will actually stop that tapering?
Yeah, hi Ross. Thanks for having me on the show. I think there's a good chance they will push back their tapering plans by a few months. It is due to kick in this month. The economy is obviously in some sort of recession, locked down in New South Wales and Victoria, and it's still not clear what the recovery is going to look like. We think it'll be really good later in 2022, but it's still a long way till we get there. So that they may push the tapering back, also because governments are issuing a lot more bonds. So in order to keep their impact of QE on the market neutral or where it was before, they actually do need to maintain that pace of purchases, if not even increase it, which a couple of analysts are looking that they may do.
Okay, but one thing is there's a broad assumption from government, from many businesses, that Australia's economy is simply going to snap straight back to this very strong growth as soon as the lockdown ends. Is that an accurate assumption? Is that a real assumption that people should have?
I think it's a best case scenario. I've done some work showing the impact on economic activity of sticking to the National Cabinet Plan, and that is on current projections for meeting 70 and 80% double dose vaccination. New South Wales starts to open up in October. That really has an impact in November. Victoria in November and December. And even on those best case scenarios, and that the other COVID-free states are open as well by the end of the year, you still are going to have a very gradual recovery until 2022. And if there's any dragging of the feet on reopening, if there's any setbacks from a health point of view, or if the vaccination pace drops off as we approach 80, then the economy is going to recover a lot more slowly than we've seen in the last 18 months. So the best case scenario is really we're not going to get the strong economy until after our summer into February, March next year. And the risks are all one way, that this is delayed. And of course, there are other concerns such as what will it be like for an economy living with COVID? Will there be caution on the part of consumers? This sort of thing. So I think the snapback view is fine for 22, but it's not an immediate snapback on reopening.
Okay, we just showed the chart that you've prepared, which is hours worked. Why is that a reasonable proxy for overall economic activity?
Oh, it's simply just the amount of people out there working, and it captures nicely the effect of lockdowns on people who are stood down and not actually working on government support. And historically, it's got a great relationship. So that bottoms, we hit a low point for activity in September, and then a very gradual recovery in October, November, and then really December's the month. Now, for GDP, that means you don't really get the impact till next year, till Q1. Q4 is still, on a best case, going to only be a small amount of growth. And any dragging of the feet on the National Cabinet Plan, any delays in reopening from that best case, could easily see negative growth again in Q4 and, of course, generate a technical recession. I think it's just a nice reminder that this economy needs to get open if we want to have a strong rebound next year.
I'll tell you what, Warren Hogan, always good to have your perspective on the program, and I appreciate it today.
Thanks, Ross.